Hello everyone, and welcome to our first video lesson here with lesson 1.2. It's points, line segments, lines, and rays. So by now you should have finished copying into Notability, our notes for today, titled with lesson 1.2, points, line segments, lines, and rays, that should say. And then we've titled it with some geometry vocab. So the first one we want to go through here is point. So you'll notice we've written here point A, and the symbol for that is just a point with that capital letter A. So do remember that for geometry, always we're going to use capital letters. If we use lowercase, we're talking about algebra, which we're not doing right now. So capital letters always for geometry. We also have a line segment. And so want to point out that a line segment is going to be a line that connects two points, so we call those endpoints. A and B in this case would be endpoints. And notice it is a segment of a line in the sense that it ends at both points. We can notate that as line segment AB or line segment BA, does not matter. And if we're going to use the symbols, you'll notice we have AB with a straight line over it, or BA with a straight line over it. No need to mark the endpoints, just using a straight line there. Okay, we're also going to talk about lines. We have line AB or line BA. Both are correct. And that is to notate a line that extends forever in either direction. So you'll notice that we notate that by an arrow pointing in both directions, and that just means an infinite number of points on this line continue forever and ever in either direction. And as we use the symbols for that, we could say line AB, and the symbol there would have two arrows on either side, or line BA, noting the arrow on both sides of that. Okay, our final vocab is going to be a ray. I've drawn ray CD here, and that is a geometric figure that starts at one endpoint. In this case, we're starting at C, and it extends forever in only one direction here. Okay, so I think of that as sort of a ray of sunshine, like if you had a sun, all right, and your rays start at one point, but they're going to extend forever in all those directions all the way until they reach a planet, and they're extending forever and ever. Okay, so that's a ray, and with a symbol we're going to notate that as ray CD with an arrow pointing in only one direction. Notice there is no arrow on that left side. Okay, so those are all of our vocab here for lesson 1.2. Let's go ahead and look at Math Journal page 4 here in our math journals. It's going to ask us to use a straight edge to draw the following. Now, a straight edge can be anything that has a straight edge. Probably we're going to use our rulers, but you could certainly use the edge of your geometry template or a protractor. All those things would be considered straight edges. Okay? So 1A is going to ask us to draw and label line segment RT. Now, yours is hopefully going to be much, much straighter than mine is about to be, because I do not have a straight edge here in my iPad. But you're going to use your straight edge to draw and label line segment RT. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line segment, making sure that it has an endpoint on both ends, and I will label one R and the other T. Okay? They ask what is another name for RT, for line segment RT, and we could also call that line segment TR, notated like that, or you could write out line segment TR. Either way. Okay? 2A is going to ask us to draw and label line BN, line this time, not line segment. And then we're going to draw and label point T on it. Okay, so for a line, I need to make sure that this is not a segment of a line. It is the whole line that extends forever in either direction. So there is my line. I'm going to label it BN. Here's my point B, my point N. And I'm going to draw and label point T on it. So I could label T right on the right side, close to the N. I could label it close to the B. I could put it right in the middle. I'm going to put it right there. There we go. and there's my point T. Okay, so this could be called line BN. They ask what are two other names for BN, so why don't you go ahead and see if you can come up with two other names for BN. Go ahead and pause this recording and then pick back up when you think you've got your two names. Okay, so hopefully you were able to determine that you could call this line either line BT, you could call it line NT, you could call it line TN, you could call it line TB, or you could even call it line NB. Okay, so notice that I could use the T in there as well. I could call it line BTN, I could call it line NTB. Any of those will work. Does not matter the order in a line. Okay. Number 3 is asking us to draw and label ray SL. We're going to then draw and label a point R on that ray. So why don't you go ahead and do that, and then give me another name for ray SL. Okay, go ahead and pause and come back when you've got that. Okay, so hopefully you've drawn something similar to this, of course much straighter, as you've got that straight edge to work with. So here's my ray SL. I've drawn point R somewhere on that ray. And the only other name that would work here for this ray is going to be ray SR. Note that we absolutely cannot name it ray LR or ray LS. Okay, both of those would be incorrect. We'll draw big X's through those, because we must label the ray starting from its endpoint and then ending with the letter that is closest to that line. Okay, so the direction that it continues in. If we called it ray LR, it would have to start at endpoint L and continue in direction R, which it does not. Okay, just be very careful of that. Number 4A is going to ask us to draw a line segment from each point to each of the other points, and then it wants to know how many line segments did we draw and to name each one. Okay, so go ahead and try that on your own and come back and unpause me when you've done that. Okay, so hopefully your drawing looks something similar to mine here. Of course much neater since you've used your straight edge. And a total of 6 line segments here, as we've drawn one connecting all 4 of our outside points there. I'm going to just kind of outline it there. And then our 2 inner kind of diag lines there. For a grand total of 6 segments. And if we're going to go ahead and name each line segment using the symbol that is just a straight line, no arrows on those symbols there. And we have line segment OM, ON, OP, and then I go ahead and swapped and started labeling from the M. We've already got line MO, that's the same. We've already got, well, then we would need MP here, and we would need MN. And then I switched and looked, well, which ones haven't I named here? I'll start from N, and I needed to also include NP. Okay, now for any of these, we could have written it in the reverse order. We could have said line MO, line segment MO, I should say, line segment NO, line segment PO, line segment PM, line segment NM, or line segment PN. Okay, so if you did it in the reverse order, still completely correct. Okay, so those are our 6 line segments there. Alrighty, that is it for lesson 1.2. Thanks for listening.